Can't I live a normal life?
Our main girl, Miss Moon Dong-eun, she gives me, this might be surprising, but she gives me Taurus vibes. The Scorpio vibes with her are definitely obvious, but I feel like she's a Taurus sun, Scorpio moon, and rising. Her approach to revenge, because obviously the revenge thing is very Scorpio, but I feel like her approach to revenge is very in a Taurus type of way, like through hard work, wit. It's a very logical approach, and I feel like there's a much more emotional, kind of like fucking with your emotions kind of way she could have done things. I know that she's fucking with Park Yeon-jin's husband, low-key, so I know that, like, you know, we're getting there, but I just feel like her approach all in all is giving me Taurus sun. The theme song, you know how like she's surrounded by that snake and it's like rising from behind her? I'm like, yeah, it's rising because she has Scorpio rising, you know what I mean? It makes sense. Dr. Bae is giving, obviously we know, sadly we kind of already know, his birthday's in January, so we know he's a Capricorn, but I still will guess his moon and rising just like with Moon Dong-eun. And Dr. Bae to me is a moon in Pisces, as well as a Pisces rising. Obviously, maybe Pisces Venus as well. He was perpetually down bad for her for multiple years, right? So that's giving me Pisces vibes. Obviously, if I believe that she is a Scorpio moon and rising, I feel like him being a Pisces moon and rising kind of makes sense. He's a bit of a businessman, he's a doctor, Capricorn vibes. I feel like he's an emotional guy, so I would say Pisces moon and rising. But I would also say that he is kind of scary. He has some anger in him. You know, he has a knife collection. Say hidden anger is very much giving Capricorn male, Capricorn devil. We have Miss Park Yeon-jin, the villain of the hour. Hers was like one of the hardest to pick what I thought her sign was. I think because she's so evil, one might think, no shade in this, no shade in this, but one might think perhaps Scorpio or Aries, right? But then there are certain contradictions. Ultimately, I think that she is a Capricorn sun as well. And this is no shade, this is no hate to Capricorn actually, because my sister is Capricorn and I had asked her before filming this, I was like, what do you think? We were discussing it. She was the one who said it first. I was thinking other signs, but she kind of put it together, and that's why I'm like, it's not even on me. There's no Capricorn slander here. This isn't on me. She herself, a Capricorn, was like, I low-key think this bitch is a Capricorn. If we look at her beliefs, she believes that certain people are simply better than other people. Capricorn might have that rigidity. Sara, her goal was to be an artist. You know, potentially more, you could say, progressive goals. And I found it interesting that her goal was to be a good mother and a good wife. That was kind of giving traditional to me. As a mother, she's always ranting about some capitalistic shit to her daughter. Honestly, her daughter is like, oh, we learned this in school, and she's like, but always remember that what really matters in the real world is having a lot of money. What really matters is having a lot of cars. Like, I just feel like she's always on some capitalistic rant to her daughter. Like, her daughter's like, mom, I want to play with my toys, and she's like, do you know how much this costs? Do you know what money is worth in this world? Like, she's always on some capitalistic ranting shit. So I'm like, that is giving Capricorn. And like, even her motives for doing stuff, it's not like you annoy me, you piss me off. It's like, know your place. Traditional structures of like, you know, certain people are this, other people are that, grounded in sometimes tradition. Traditionally, yeah, if you make this amount of money, this is how you should be treated. If you work this job, you're the boss and they should listen to you. They're your employees. Like, that whole kind of hierarchy is giving Capricorn. And some people might disagree with me because they're like, how is she a Capricorn if she can't even, you know, write her own scripts? Because she's a newscaster, right? So like, she can't even write her own scripts. How do you think that she's a Capricorn if she's not really excelling in her field? But if we look back in high school, her goal wasn't to be the best news bitch ever. It was to be the best wife and mom. And we see that conversation with her husband outside where she's like, you want me to be skinny? You jumping jacks on an empty stomach and da 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 da. Like, she was just very serious about like her role as a wife, if that makes any sense. So I'm like, her real goal isn't to be a newscaster. Her truest goal is to be a wife. I wish she needs to do all this work and be determined to be a newscaster. That is not her dream. Her dream is to be a mother and a housewife. And that's where I think that Capricorn-esque dedication comes in. I also feel like in her infidelity, no shade, but you know, low functioning Capricorns can slut it up. Nothing wrong being a little bit slutty, but you know, prone to perhaps stepping out on the marriage, right? That can be a bit of a Capricorn devilish thing. She's kind of emotionally detached. That's also why I think maybe moon in Capricorn, sun and moon in Capricorn. Like, how are you married to a man for literally, you know, 10 years, right? Dating for 2, married for 10, and you now realize that you love him after having, oh, I was gonna say his child, but it ain't his child, you know what I mean? You've been married to him for 10 years, you dated him for 2 years, and then she's like, I think I'm in love with him. Like, you think that now, bitch, after like fucking a decade, you realize you love him? Like, she's not really in touch with her emotions. That's something Capricorn, Sun, and Moon, honestly. But again, low functioning, this isn't Capricorn shade. Just to give another placement that I feel potentially is a Gemini Venus. Yeah, you've been fucking this man since high school. I'm talking about Jae-jun. She's been fucking him since high school, right? Clearly, they've been entangled literally for probably upwards of 10 years, right? You fathered his kids. You mothered his kids. You birthed this man's kids, right? So to do all that and be like, wait, actually, I think I'm in love with this other guy that I've been lying to for 10 years. Like, it's funny. And all her decisions, like, even when he choked her up against the wall, I was like, damn, like, you know, she's gonna get pissed off. Like, he put hands on her, begin to be making out and shit. I'm just like, yeah, Venus and Gemini. It's chaotic. It's fuckery, honestly. Park Yeon-jin's husband, he is an Aquarius, okay? That man is an Aquarius. I just feel like that is, I feel that with certainty. The reason I believe he's an Aquarius, well, again, he's always cool, calm, collected, right? He's always unbothered. Something a bit off about him. Like, I feel like his sense of humor, the way he behaves is a bit strange. And I also think he's really popular with the ladies, you know what I mean? He has a certain charm, maybe a certain, you know, swag about him, you know? So that's why I'm thinking he's an Aquarius man. The way he communicates with his wife is really deadpan. He's not really loving. Also, he's hard to read. I feel like you never know what he's thinking. Even now, we don't know season 2. Like, is he gonna be, you know, on her side? Be like, what the fuck? Again, he finds out that his daughter, like, I'm pretty sure he knows his daughter is not his, right? He hasn't really reacted to that, in my opinion. He's obviously been territorial, like, what are you doing here? When her father showed up at the school, he's like, what are you doing here? Like, he clearly is territorial, but he hasn't really confronted his wife. He confronted her about the bullying. He didn't really confront her about, you know, you were cheating during the marriage, right? He's hard to read. He's a bit mysterious, and I think this is an Aquarius male. For the next character, I'm going to call her Miss Druggy, because that's what she do, drugs. She's a Pisces, right? This is no shade, but she's a Pisces, you know what I mean? There's many reasons. She, positive first, right? She's very creative and expressive, and I think that she's also talented, right? But alcohol and drug dependency, drug addiction, Pisces, right? She's a little bit wishy-washy, you know, she's not all the way there all the time. Maybe she's on a couple of drugs, but yeah, that's her vibe. Jae-jun. I think him and Park Hyung-jin were really hard to decide, simply because, like I said, they're both quite fucked up, so it was kind of hard to pick, you know, the degree of fucked up that they were. I honestly think that Jae-jun is a Gemini sun. I feel like he, once again, is also a bit hard to read. He's all over the place, and every time you think he's gonna react one way, he's gonna react the other way. Every time you think he's gonna react the other way, he reacts one way. Like, even when he's choking her out and you think like, okay, she had been lying for 10 plus years. Like, he is extremely pissed off and he's probably going to, you know, like, pop off. And then they proceed to start, you know, doing the nasty. I was thinking the worst. I was like, damn, he might be like, let me kidnap this kid. This is my fucking kid. I'm just gonna take her out of the country and kidnap her. He has the money, right? And instead he's like, no, I wanna marry her mother. Like, that was kind of strange to me. Like, even in the bullying, times in the bullying where he's like super involved, other times where he's like playing, there's like in the first scene where they're burning her with an iron, he's like in the back playing basketball. That's just giving Gemini vibes. To me, Jae-jun is a Pisces moon. He claims, oh, he's not my friend, he's my employee. Well, he's horrible at his job. I'm talking about Myung-go. He's horrible at his job, and yet you kept him employed for such a long time. And you can say, you know, oh, he's not my friend or this or that, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, I think he is your friend, because why did you keep this man employed for so many years? Meanwhile, he's horrible at his job. And it wasn't even just like a couple years. Like, for them, at their age, high school was like so many years ago. So if it's like, okay, right out of high school when you guys were friends, you offered him a job, right? Cool. It's like you guys are like 38, you're almost 40, and you're still employing this man, and he's still like barely doing his job right. I'm sorry, but he's your friend. Every time you can't find him, you're like, is he drunk? You know, because he's been drunk. I just feel like, yeah, at that point, he's your friend. And that's why I think that if there's a moon in Pisces, leave me a comment like, the reason he hasn't gotten married is because marriage never works out in favor for men. Like, marriage isn't in the best interest of men. Like, you're just going fuck and blah, blah, blah. But then he's proposing to Park Yeon-jin. I'm like, part of me thinks the reason you've never ever married is because, I don't know, maybe a part of him has always assumed that at some point him and Park Yeon-jin would end up together. It is weird that he's never, you know, married, even for a business reason, right? It is weird that he never married. You also see that he hates Park Yeon-jin's husband so much, right? As far as we can tell, they haven't really had any sort of beef. They don't really even talk. I feel like he doesn't like to show that he has those emotions, but you hired Myung-go for so many years because he was your friend. He was horrible at his job. If it was business, you would have fired him a long time ago. You never married because, I'm sorry, you're holding out some hope for Park Yeon-jin. It wasn't because you think marriage just doesn't work out for men or da-da-da, you're a playboy. I just feel like when it Pisces. And then Capricorn Mars. His literal only goal was to inherit his family's golf course. So I'm thinking that this man is a Capricorn Mars, you know? And I have to give it to him. Out of the entire cast, he seems to be the primary one that's actually doing some level of work. You know, the others, they do what they gotta do, but he seems to be the most ambitious. That's why I'm thinking he is a Capricorn Mars. Who's left even? Myung-go, sadly, I think his is kind of easy. I think Myung-go's an Aries. Yeah, he liked to use his fists. He liked to beat people. Not saying that Aries, you know, they all like to do that, but I just feel like a low functioning Aries, yeah, they want to pummel with their fists. They want to fight with their fists, right? He also was immature, you know. He did seem, quite honestly, unserious. And sadly, I think he was an Aries. He also didn't think a lot. I feel like he was really careless and he was kind of childish. And I think that is low functioning Aries male. Flight attendant Hee Jung, I think that she was, unfortunately, a Libra. I just don't see, because her friends are obviously extremely disrespectful. Her quote unquote friends know your fucking place, right? She's a bit vain, you know, wanting to beg the rich niggas. She wants a certain lifestyle. She just gives me a Libra vibe. If she was water sign and all her friends were like, know your place, I feel like she would have cried or had more emotions. I feel like if she had been a fire sign, she might be more prone to popping off every now and then. And I feel like if she was an earth sign, like I said, she may have just used them for their connection. Just wouldn't still be in that same spot. So I feel like perhaps she's a Libra because their insults just go over her head. Like, she doesn't really like get in her feelings about them in the way that I feel like certain other signs would have. Like, especially because it's like, okay, they're being rude to you, they're bullying you, but you're like 38 now. She just doesn't care. And even like there's like the shamelessness of like taking the clothes. Like, she took her friend's clothes from the dry cleaners and, like, I don't know, showing up in a dress that's not your own and still trying to lie. Yeah, unfortunately, it's giving low functioning Libra for me. She's kind of fickle, you know what I mean? What I mean by this is, you know, first she's like, you know, fuck this bitch, like, fuck Moon Dong-gun, like, we're gonna fucking get her, you know, she thinks she can come for us. Then she's on her knees crying like, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna be your slave, like, I'll do whatever you say, Moon Dong-gun. And then she's like, okay, well, you know, we can be cool if you let me burn you. And then she's like, fuck you, bitch. Well, like, she's just, you know, she's quite fickle, honestly. She's pretty fickle, and that's no shade. No shade, that's some air sign energy. She's kind of fickle. But again, this is all low functioning, like, let's be honest, majority of the characters on the show are low functioning. Then we have Miss Paparazzi, okay? I feel like she's an older Cancer woman, very, very sweet. Really, really pure and kind-hearted, still able to be happy and joyful in the midst of domestic violence. I'm gonna finish my eyeliner and lashes off camera. And the last character is Park Yeon-jin's daughter. I'm thinking Libra. She's really kind and sweet, and she just has a natural, gentle spirit, unlike her mother. So I'm thinking she is a Libra. She's a really sweet girl, and I don't know. She just gives me a Libra child vibe. So what are we thinking for part 2? What are our predictions? I'm thinking that we're gonna see more of an even fight. It's mainly just been Moon Dong-gun, like, you know, firing away at these people and then being like, what the fuck, she's back in town? But I do think that we'll see a bit more fighting on both sides. I don't think we're just gonna see the bullies getting a lashing. I think they're gonna start unionizing and fighting back, because they're like, okay, she's here to stay, she's here to fuck up our lives. And I think that we're gonna see some more melodrama pertaining to that. More blood spills on both sides. We might see Moon Dong-gun suffer some losses. Maybe a romantic relationship with Yeon-jin's husband. Perhaps we're gonna be toxic in that way. Let me know your predictions. Let me know what you think. Season 2 is probably going to be even crazier than season 1. Hopefully no character deaths. Hopefully not. What do you think about Yeon-jin's husband? Do you think he's going to side with the victims, or do you think he's going to side with his wife and we're going to see him be an additional villain? We'll have to tune in and find out.